The xenobiology training grounds of Station Helios smelled of ozone and alien musk. Cara Dune stood at attention among her fellow cadets, her boots planted firmly on the metallic deck as Instructor Velmara, a towering kraith with iridescent scales, lectured about interspecies protocol. But Cara's attention had wandered to the small enclosure beside the lecture hall, where a juvenile predator prowled with surprising intensity. Rix was barely the size of a terrier, but his species, the Vorak, were apex hunters on their homeworld. Even as a cub, his serrated claws and triple rows of teeth marked him as dangerous. His sleek obsidian fur rippled with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed when agitated. Right now those patterns flickered amber, curiosity mixed with challenge. The cub had been watching Cara for the past 10 minutes, his 6 eyes fixed on her with unnerving focus. The Vorak, Instructor Velmara continued, her voice a resonant hum, are pack predators with strict hierarchical structures. Dominance is established through physical displays and... A sharp crack interrupted the lecture. Rix had somehow triggered the enclosure's gate mechanism. The barrier slid open with a pneumatic hiss and the cub bounded out before anyone could react. Cadets scattered. A Zentari student levitated toward the ceiling in panic. 2 humans stumbled backward, hands reaching for stun batons that weren't there. This was a classroom. Not a combat zone, but Cara didn't move. Rix approached her directly, his gait predatory despite his small size. His bioluminescent patterns flared crimson, aggression. The cub circled her boots once, twice, his movements deliberate. Testing. Then he lunged forward and snapped his jaws at her right boot, teeth clicking against the reinforced polymer. The room fell silent. Cara looked down at the cub. Rick stared back, his body coiled, tail raised high, the Vorak signal of dominance assertion. In his young mind, this strange bipedal creature had failed to react to his attack. That meant weakness. That meant opportunity. Most species would have kicked the cub away or retreated. The kraith would have hissed and displayed their frills. The Zentari would have used telekinesis to immobilize the threat. Even other humans might have panicked. Cara Dune did something different. She lifted her boot, slowly, deliberately, and brought it down 6 inches from Rix's front paws. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to produce a resounding thud that reverberated through the deck. The vibration traveled up the cub's limbs. Rix froze. Cara stomped again. Same pressure, same controlled force. Her expression remained neutral, but her eyes locked onto the cub's central pair, the ones Vorak used for direct threat assessment. The cub's bioluminescent patterns flickered, shifting from crimson to confused orange. His tail, once raised in challenge, began to lower incrementally. Cara took 1 measured step forward and Rix took 1 back. She stomped a 3rd time, gentler now, but unmistakably assertive. The tail dropped completely. Rix's ears, small triangular protrusions that most hadn't noticed, flattened against his skull. His body posture shifted from predatory coil to something resembling submission. Not fear exactly. Recognition. Cara crouched slowly, bringing herself closer to the cub's level, but maintained her direct gaze. She extended 1 hand, palm down, and held it steady. Rix sniffed cautiously, his bioluminescence fading to a calm blue-green. Then, in a gesture that made Instructor Velmara's scales ripple with astonishment, the cub pressed his snout against Cara's palm and emitted a low, rumbling chirp. Extraordinary, Velmara breathed. She established dominance without aggression, submission without surrender. The cub recognizes her as, what would humans call it? Pack leader? Another instructor, a human named Chen, stepped forward from where he'd been observing. It's more than that. Watch her body language. She didn't try to overpower him or intimidate through size. She responded in his language. The stomp mimicked what a Vorak matriarch would do, a correction, not an attack. Firm boundaries, clear communication. Cara scratched behind Rix's ear protrusions and the cub's purring intensified. My grandmother raised working dogs back on Earth, she said without looking up. Different species, same principles. Predators don't respect fear or cruelty. They respect consistency and confidence. Rix rolled onto his back, the ultimate display of trust among Vorak juveniles, exposing his vulnerable underbelly. Cara rubbed his chest, careful to avoid the scent glands that could mark her as property. The cub's 6 eyes closed in contentment. Most species flee from Vorak cubs, Velmara observed, approaching cautiously. They are, after all, capable of inflicting serious injury even at this age. Yet you stood your ground. Why? Kara finally looked up, because running triggers chase instinct. Aggression triggers fight response, but measured dominance? She gestured at the now docile Rix. That triggers learning. Chen nodded approvingly. This is why humanity has such success in xenobiological diplomacy. We've been doing this for thousands of years, not with aliens, but with every predator and prey species on our own world. We domesticated wolves into dogs, turned wildcats into companions, trained raptors for hunting. We learned to speak 100 different languages before we ever left Earth. Velmara's scales shimmered with what might have been respect. Your species has a saying, does it not? Humans will pack bond with anything? Kara smiled as Rix crawled into her lap, curling up like an oversized, deadly kitten. We don't see predator or prey. We see potential packmates. Even the dangerous ones, especially the dangerous ones, just need someone to set boundaries with confidence and follow through with consistency. Rix chirped again, his bioluminescence now a soft, steady blue, his tail wrapped around Kara's wrist, not possessively, but companionably. Cadet Dune, Velmara said formally, you will be assigned as Rix's primary handler for the remainder of his developmental training. If you can establish this level of rapport with a Vorak juvenile in under 5 minutes, I suspect you'll revolutionize our understanding of interspecies communication. Kara stood carefully, cradling the cub who showed no inclination to leave her arms. Yes, ma'am. Though I should warn you, where I come from, when you befriend a predator, you're responsible for them. Rix and I are going to be spending a lot of time together. The cub's eyes opened briefly, fixing on Kara with what could only be described as adoration. His tail wagged, a gesture borrowed from canine friends his species had never met, but somehow understood through the universal language of pack and trust. As Kara carried Rix back to his enclosure, with a gate properly secured this time, the other cadets whispered among themselves. The human who hadn't flinched. The human who spoke predator. The human who turned a dangerous challenge into an unbreakable bond with nothing more than a few measured stomps and unwavering calm. Humanity, they realized, had been preparing for the stars long before they reached them. Every wolf they'd befriended, every hawk they'd trained, every dangerous creature they'd learned to understand, it had all been practiced for this moment. Rix purred contentedly in Kara's arms, tail still wrapped around her wrist. And in that simple gesture, the galaxy learned an important lesson. Humans didn't conquer through superior firepower or advanced technology. They conquered through the oldest skill their species possessed, the ability to look at something dangerous and see a friend.